Good afternoon, friends. My name is Hitesh Purohit. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, currently handling direct and indirect taxation arm of Financial Hospital. Today, we'll talk about nitty-gritties of GST. A lot of changes are happening in GST law, and it's very important for businessmen to understand what kind of changes government is bringing in, logic of those changes, and impact on your business. So, I will talk about four major changes which happened recently in GST law. One of them is QRMP scheme. Second is insertion of Rule 86B. Third is some changes in Rule 36. And fourth is export refunds. So let's talk about QRMP scheme once. QRMP is a relief for those taxpayers who are having a turnover below 5 CR. So basically those taxpayers who are small taxpayers who need to do, currently the requirement of filing is monthly. So every dealer needs to file two returns every month. One of them is GSTR 3B and second is GSTR 1. In last 4 to 5 months, filing GSTR 1 requirement was changed to quarterly, but still dealers had to file GSTR 3B on monthly basis. So to give further relief, government have introduced this scheme called quarterly return monthly payment, in which dealers are given relief to file returns on monthly basis. They only have to make payment on monthly basis. So now you may ask, or you may have a doubt, that if you are not filing returns on the monthly basis, on what basis you will make the payment? Because for making the payment, a dealer needs to do the calculation of GST. For that, government is giving you two options. First is fixed sum method, where whatever your GST liability was there for last quarter, 35% of that you can pay in first month, 35% in second month, and in third month when quarter ends you can compute your actual liability and make the remaining payment. Important point here to note is that 35% of the liability which you have discharged in cash in the previous quarter should be paid, not the total liability, but 35% of the liability which you have discharged in cash in the last quarter, that you need to pay. Second is self-assessment method. In that, government is giving you a benefit to pay the actual GST amount by self-assessment. Like you can calculate your sales, you can calculate your purchases, you can calculate your net GST liability, and you can make that payment. Second method would be easier and it would be more impactful for the businesses because they don't have to do reconciliation at the quarter end. So it is advisable that you should go with the self-assessment method because the monthly reconciliation will happen. Second and important thing here is that it can impact cash flows as well, positively or negatively. Supposing you are in the seasonal business, and if in one particular quarter, let's say in the quarter of October, November, December, your sales was high, whereas in Jan, Feb, March you are expecting the sales to be low. In that case, whatever the liability which you have discharged in cash in the previous quarter, 35% of that you will have to pay every month. So in case your liability for the current month is low, for 2 months your cash flow will be impacted negatively and vice versa. So this was QRMP. This was applicable to all those who is having turnover less than 5 CR, and government had given a option to opt out from this scheme in January. So if you have opted out, then the monthly filing will be applicable to you. In case you have not opted out, in that case now you can't opt out of that scheme because by default you are into QRMP scheme if your last year's turnover is less than 5 CR. So now you'll have to file returns under this scheme only. Second is Rule 86B. There's a new rule inserted by government to curb the tax practices, unlawful practices we can say, which is taking ITC benefit without actually purchasing the goods. You can say fake invoices. So to curb this practice, government have inserted this new rule that for those dealers whose monthly turnover is more than 50 lakh rupees, 1% of total liability they need to pay in cash, even if they have input tax credit. So even if you have huge input tax credit because you have done huge purchases, still 1% of the total tax liability, if your tax liability is 100 rupees and you are having a credit of 200, there is a balance in your credit ledger. Second and important thing here is that it can impact cash flows as well, positively or negatively. Supposing you are in the seasonal business, and if in one particular quarter, let's say in the quarter of October, November, December, your sales was high, whereas in Jan, Feb, March you are expecting the sales to be low. In that case, whatever the liability which you have discharged in cash in the previous quarter, 35% of that you will have to pay every month. So in case your liability for the current month is low, for 2 months your cash flow will be impacted negatively and vice versa. tax liability is 100 rupees and you are having a credit of 200. There is a balance in your credit ledger. You can't set off this 100 with 200. You can set off only 99 rupees and 1 rupees you will have to pay in cash. But this is applicable to few specific dealers. First is those dealers whose turnover is exceeding 50 lakh rupees in a month, and the turnover calculation excludes exempt supply and zero rated supply. It also says that if the managing directors, kartas or the KMPs of these businesses have paid income tax more than 1 lakh rupees in the previous year, then also this rule is not applicable. If any business have got refund of more than 1 lakh rupees by exporting goods, then also this rule is not applicable. So there are few exceptions or few conditions on which this rule will not be applicable to you, but in case this rule is applicable to you, you should be aware that you need to discharge 1% liability in cash. Third rule is Rule 36(4). There is a small change in the rule. So earlier there was a section governing input tax credit. The section was very clear that if you have any invoice from vendor and you have made that payment before 180 days, you can claim that input tax credit in your GST computation. But now one more requirement of claiming the input tax credit is come, which is Rule 36, where they say that if any credit is reflecting in your GSTR 2A, then only you can take that credit. So the reflection of credit in GSTR 2A depends upon your supplier, your vendor, whether your vendor have filed his GST return giving benefit to you or not. So even if you have tax invoice, even if you have made the payment to your supplier, and if your supplier is not uploading that particular invoice on GST portal, then you can't take that credit. It will be ineligible credit till the time that supplier uploads that return on GST portal, and in whichever month you can see that credit in GSTR 2A, in that month only you can take that particular credit. Again, ITC is restricted in some sense, like in Rule 86 you will have to pay 1% from in cash. Rule 36 you will have to wait till ITC reflects even if you have made the payment. So it's very important to reconcile ITC on monthly basis. First is reconciliation, whether all the vendors have uploaded the credit note or uploaded the invoices or not. If they have not, then you need to inform them over the email that as soon as they upload, they give you a confirmation and then you can take the credit. So these kind of internal control mechanism you will have to establish, especially for small businesses, to avoid any interest or late fees. In case department gets to know about non-compliances or non-payment, they may charge you interest on that particular amount. Last is export refunds. So export refunds, an exporter who is exporting goods outside India can claim refunds by two ways. One is under LUT, letter of undertaking, where the exporter is not paying any GST on export of goods and is claiming refund of ITC which he has paid on the purchase of material. Second is export by paying GST. So while exporting you are paying IGST, but you can claim that refund immediately. Earlier there was a requirement to once you have done the export, you need to submit the purchase bills, you need to submit the details of export online, you need to submit the refund request basically, and government used to process your refund. But now there is one more restriction, that while doing this export, if FEMA regulations are not met perfectly, the payment receipt condition, like there are some certain conditions in FEMA that if you have exported a good or from 30 days from bill of lading, you should receive that payment, and there are a few other requirements also in FEMA. So if those requirements are not met, then again your refund can be on hold. So these were the four major changes. Apart from this, one more small change, which is scrapping of GST audit. So from financial year 1920, so the last audit will be done for 1920. After 1920, there is no requirement of GST audit, which means there is no requirement to file GSTR 9C form, which was an annual audit requirement. Yet there is another requirement of GSTR 9. So GSTR 9 is self-assessment and self-submission and self-declaration by assessee himself that these are my monthly return and this is my annual return, both are matching. But GSTR 9C was an audit requirement where a CA used to upload the audit report and certify that yes, the assessee has filed the returns correctly. Now that requirement is scrapped. Still there are certain representations being done to government about why it is scrapped, but as of now in the latest budget they have scrapped this requirement. So these were the major changes. I hope it will help you in your business. If you have any query, you can connect us through our application and our contact details.